Tom, how's it going?
Tremendous. How are you, Adam?
It's going very, very well here. We're a little disappointed in the trade deadline. I'm still getting over you calling me a weirdo last week, or whatever you called me, but I've moved on.
Weird guy.
Yeah, you definitely have moved on. How many hours later is it? And it's the first thing you bring up.
No, it's true. It cut me very deep. It cut me very, very deep.
You know you're weird.
No, I trust me. I absolutely know that. When it comes to being at the Super Bowl, Tom, your boots on the ground. We were playing some audio you had with Mike Lombardi. We've been playing interviews you've had all week at the Super Bowl. What is the Patriots-related buzz in Phoenix right now? Is there a lot of buzz about the Patriots and what they're going to be doing this offseason and what they're gearing up for? Bill's future is something you've touched on. Mac Jones and Bill O'Brien, I know, is something you've touched on. Like, what is the general feeling around the league? Because the whole league's there about the Patriots this offseason.
They are really a minor story. They would be down in the 15th paragraph of a 30-paragraph story.
I'm not getting that far.
I know. And most people aren't. They are, I don't want to say they're Chicago Bears level interest, but actually Chicago's got the number one overall pick, so I don't even know if the interest is that high. They've already made the moves that are conversation worthy. They've at least got their basic sedan back on the highway, pointed in the correct direction on the road back to the Super Bowl, but the thing only goes about 63 miles an hour. To me, what's interesting about this is I'm trying to gain intel about, okay, what do they need to get back to being an elite team? The consensus is you need a dual-threat quarterback who has transcendent skills. Greg Cosell, who I spoke to for a long time, said that's not necessarily the case, and if it was, then every team that didn't have that would stink. So I think there's guarded optimism around the Patriots when people actually are thinking about them.
So in that track, since you're bringing up the quarterback, what is the perception of Mac Jones that you've heard on Radio Row, just generally around the Super Bowl? Because I'm thinking specifically of some of the comments that he had for the coaching staff in that 3-game stretch that I think had a lot of blowback here in New England.
It definitely had blowback here, but I think that for the people who weren't embedded and watching it unfold over a few weeks, where the first week everyone's like, yeah, I don't blame him. Second week was, that's kind of plenty. Third week was like, enough. But here, it's more like I understand where he's coming from. It was a crime against football what the Patriots tried to perpetrate with their coaching staff. And Mac Jones remains a sympathetic figure. And Mac Jones remains somebody who last year becomes a complete mulligan for him. And this year is vital.
Tommy, what would you grade Bill Belichick's appearance on Tom Brady's podcast if you were handing out grades?
Ooh.
A+. I mean, you rarely hear Bill with a high-pitched, quick cadence conversation. I've been lucky enough when things were good between us to hear him talk like that when we're having a good conversation, and he gets like that here and there in life, probably a lot in life, but not often for public consumption. And he knows when he's doing it. And he said, all right, well, I'm going to give Tom my best here because Tom gave me his best. And I'm going to make this entertaining. And I'm going to let my guard down. And the two of us are going to give the perception to everybody that we loved each other intensely every moment. And he succeeded.
What was the biggest thing that was left unsaid in that podcast appearance, in your opinion?
Oh, that's a good question. It
Thank
might
you.
take a heartbeat for me to figure out what exactly I would say. Really an unblinking confrontation of the fact that for the two men to get where they wanted to be professionally in their 40s and nearing 70, that they had to split. Simple. We don't need the neat, tied-off, palatable pablum that we're being served of. We loved each other the whole way through. And I used to get on Tom because Tom loved it. Tom didn't love it. Tom didn't love being told that, his personal body coach was going to be exiled from the facility and doesn't want anyone seeing him. He didn't want to be told, have his best friend Gronk told that, he was slipping significantly in his performance. He didn't want to see Jimmy Garoppolo come in and then not as a result get a contract for years and then never get the contract he hoped for, including a $1 million bonuses that he had no shot at hitting because he had terrible weapons around him. Those weren't happy days. So just say that they were at cross purposes, but all the hatchets are buried, and that's great.
Tom, speaking of weapons, we were just talking about what the Eagles have done over the last season and getting A.J. Brown. Is receiver a position, to your knowledge, that the Patriots are focused on upgrading at? We talked so much about the true number one receiver, and now you have Jacoby Myers, a potential free agent. Do you have any sense of them leaning towards holding on to him or going out and adding a bigger piece there?
I don't yet, and I think Jacoby Myers is going to be a perfect candidate for the go out and see what you can find. Go see what's out there. Then come on back. Let us know. And I think Jacoby Myers is going to say, good, I'll show them. And he's going to go out, and everyone's going to say, like it, nice player, you were productive there. But we're all set. We're going to find somebody who runs a 4-4. And he'll come back, and the Patriots will be able to lowball him an offer that he'll either take or leave. And that'll be a win for the Patriots. To me, they have much more pressing issues on the offensive line. That's something that Mike Lombardi talked about a bit. Because if you don't have a transcendent quarterback who can create on his own when things break down under pressure, then you better get him the protection so that he doesn't have things break down. And I know that people can go, well, Joe Burrow didn't have that. He had a bad offensive line, and he still does. They got him the receivers. I guess, but the Patriots aren't necessarily built the same way, or I don't think there's enough evidence that that way works. I'd rather see a really good offensive line, and I think they do have enough talent there. Well, at the receiver position around, if you re-sign Jacoby Myers. I'm sure you guys disagree, but I think there's enough.
I personally would like to see more, but I want to circle back to something.
Yeah, you gotta.
I personally want to circle back to something that Arcand was asking about, the podcast with Brady and Belichick. And this occurred to me, hearing your answer. I've heard Rich Keefe talk about this a lot at night. How that came about. How did, and Tom, you're plugged in. What's your understanding of how Bill ended up going on the podcast? Did Brady reach out? Did Brady's people reach out? How did that end up happening? Because I'd imagine, however long Brady's been doing the podcast, it could have happened any time in the last 7, 8, 10 years, however long he's been doing it. This is when he does it. How did it happen, and why is Bill going on now?
Well, my guess is he's always played for either Bill, and he's not going to go on a podcast for Brady when he's one of his employees, because we know how much he enjoyed Brady when he was a player and his outside interests. I mean, that's really the crux of the issue. Tom Brady's outside interest drove Bill crazy. So he wasn't going to do it then. Meanwhile, when he's playing for the Buccaneers, it's not like Brady's going to ask him, because Bill's going to say, no, you don't play for my team. I'm not going to be on your podcast.
Bill could have done, I'm sorry to jump in, but Bill could have done it like last year when Brady, quote unquote, retired. Like he was retired last year and not a member of the Bucs. That could have been a time that Bill did it.
I guess. I don't know. I haven't ruminated on it that much, nor did I ask. But I imagine it was probably put forth by somebody around Brady. Let's see if Bill wants to do it. So I honestly don't have a great answer for you on that. I'm going to be candid.
Okay. Well, maybe maybe we'll ask around and we'll get to the bottom of that. Maybe we could maybe we could do that. I want to just finish up on this.
Was that an assignment?
Yes, that's a homework assignment. That's by Thursday at 3:30. We're going to need this from you next week, Tom.
I'll just put this weirdo once ... every week.
Yes. If we could give you a weekly homework assignment, that's great. Here's your first one.
Yeah.
We'd be loath not to ask you about your pick here in the Super Bowl. Who do you think actually wins?
I think the Eagles will just roll over them. I really do. Especially on the ground. I think that it could be uninteresting game.
Wow. Huh? Wow.
Almost
had to dump you there.
Getting loose over there, Tom.
Yeah.
Out west.
Miss you guys, though.
I know.
Tommy, Joe Mixon didn't run all over Kansas City. Why are the Eagles going to?
Well, I got a better offensive line. We talked about this. I told you that Cincinnati has a bad offensive line, Christian.
Yeah, but he has a better running back.
Eagles.
He already told you.
We went through this. Jarvis Green Ellis wasn't a great running back. He had a good offensive line.
It's a good point.
And he never
It's a good point.
So I think it'll come down to the trenches.
Well, let's let you go here, Tom, so you can get started on that homework assignment if you don't mind, and we'll talk to you next Thursday, okay?
I'll circle up during the week.
All right, perfect.